Hey guys, this is Miguel from Nerdy Geek Talk, the source for all your nerdy geeky needs, here with another episode of Steel City Bots. It is the new year. We are recording on January 6th, 2020. We have abandoned the decade of the 2010s and we've entered the 2020s. Who knows what adjective history will put in front of the 20s. It's certainly been an interesting start to the decade.
Days.
Yes.
But we will rather than towards the end, we will look forward to what we expect as far as Transformers goes for the new year and the new decade. But for a good portion of this episode, we will both be looking at the last kind of major news highlights of 2019, and then stretching all the way back to the 2010s and kind of doing a retrospective. But first off, I will introduce the people who are joining me tonight. We have Jared. How are you doing?
Doing all right. Everybody at my work are dropping like flies because everyone's getting sick, so that's fun.
Better than them either dying or being fired, because at first I was like, well, Jared works at Target, so they could all be seasonal, so they could all be leaving.
Yeah, the seasonal purge already occurred. And, yeah.
Oh, rest in
Maybe
peace.
now they're all just quitting after the seasonal purge.
And that has happened.
So then Jared will have to be on carts in the front and cleaning the women's bathroom all at the same time.
Oh, that's me every day, so.
But literally at the same time. You'll have to clone yourself.
All
right.
Yeah.
We also have Michael. How are you?
My laptop is dead, so I'm on Skype through my phone.
You sound almost identical, which is
Not
either...
sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, though.
It depends on where you look at it. It could be a really good thing for his phone, or it could be a really bad thing for the microphone he normally uses.
That's
Well,
true.
I've never actually been able to record with my microphone hooked into my laptop, so I've just used my laptop's microphone.
So then you're... Well, then your phone and your laptop are pretty comparable, but then at the same time...
Your phone and your laptop are pretty comparable.
No, it's more that you really need a new microphone.
That too.
Yes.
Has the microphone never worked?
No, I've got a microphone. It's just I've never figured out how to get it to work with Skype.
There should be an easy way to do that.
It should be.
It's like
I tried.
Microphone options on Skype. That's how I have mine set up.
We'll troubleshoot later. Zeus, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right.
It's good. What's for dinner tonight?
Indian food, but that's not till later.
Mm-hmm. All right. We usually catch you when you're about to be whisked away to eat whatever it is you're eating for dinner. So we're glad to have you here. We won't try to keep you too long away from the Indian food.
Okay, good. Don't starve me.
I was about to say if you wanted to watch Zeus wither away in real time, but we don't have a live stream going on or anything. We do have social media for the show. You can follow us at Steel City Bots on Twitter or at Nerdy Geek Talk on Twitter for any updates for the show or the podcast feed on Podbean. Otherwise, just search Nerdy Geek Talk wherever you listen to podcasts. We also have Instagram that we don't use anymore, or at least we should, but we don't. Michael, what's that Instagram?
Steel City Bots.
Okay, it's pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Before we get into the news and then into the back half of the show where we'll go through kind of the past decade and kind of reminisce on the 2010s and everything that it brought as far as Transformers goes, we'll start off by either the last stuff that we got in the past decade or the first things we got in the new decade. And we'll have Zeus take... Actually, no. Actually, it really doesn't matter. I'll go first since I have the least amount of stuff, and then we can get into the people who've probably opened the stuff that they're going to talk about. And mine's not even really on topic. I got Action Toys Machine Robo DX Bike Robo that is the essentially Masterpiece style Sidekill from the Action Toys Machine Robo line. So Action Toys are the official... have the official license for the Machine Robo Rescue. Or no, it's not Machine Robo Rescue. It's Machine Robo Revenge of Kronos. That's it. Which was like an anime series that used the Machine Robo designs that GoBots also used. So this is a recreation of the DX. So in the original GoBots line, there were smaller figures, and then there were like huge figures, DX Bike Robo and Machine Robo, Super GoBot Psykill and the original GoBots. They already made a smaller one that pretty much looked like the original toy and the original Japanese version, like in the anime. And then this one is based off of that larger figure, but then if you were able to get in on like the initial runs of the figure, he also comes with additional faces that look like GoBot Psykill, which probably isn't part of their licensing agreement, so they kind of had to not advertise that it came with it.
Yeah.
I've heard really good things about it. And I for whatever reason, I got into a thing where I was like, I kind of want to get that, and I missed getting it on BBTS, and they had it for super cheap. And then I grabbed one on eBay, and then one cheaper on eBay just showed up today. After this one showed up, like I got a notification. It's like, oh, something you in one of your save searches just showed up. So naturally,
Nice.
you grab it, and then it shows up for cheaper everywhere else.
Well done.
I also went back. As usual, I don't write some things that I get because I remember them when I'm talking. I did go back to that estate sale that I went to a couple weeks ago, where I picked up the G2 Grimlock.
Yeah.
This time around, they priced everything pretty much compared to like eBay prices, which was kind of annoying. It was not like that last time. I think someone probably looked at how they were pricing things and was like, should probably jack these up a little bit. And naturally, this is the point where they like decked out a whole part of a display with boxed Transformers figures, many of which are from the early to mid 2010s. Funny enough. So I picked up a few, and some odds and ends. I picked up a few things, like some Power Core figures and Beast Wars. I don't know if he's from Neo or Second. Break, the Penguin?
I think that Break's Neo.
Neo, okay. So yeah, I picked up Break. He's mint and sealed box. It was $20. I thought that was gonna be that was pretty good. They also had a Randy that I was tempted. Randy was 10, but his box was messed up, and I was like, do I really want to spend $10 for a figure that's going to shatter? I mean, I could have done it for the meme and like crushed it in my hands.
Yeah.
Actually, if they do that again, I might go get it and then have it for TFCon. But I'll talk more about that haul when I actually start opening it, because there were some figures that were interesting, and part of me is like, I kind of want to go back and get Power Core. Power Core got expensive. Like, somehow, I guess because no one wanted Power Core when it came out, now people who are going back are having to pay stupid amounts of money. Like, the stuff I got was still cheaper than what normally you get, but like, you have to pay like $45 to $50 for like Overrun. And like,
wow.
Yeah, a lot of the tail enders of the line, and then heavy treads like $30 to $40.
Weird.
Like, none of those figures should be that expensive.
No, they shouldn't.
I'll go to Jared next, just because I thought he had more stuff, but then I realized it's an explanation of what happened to the figure he got. So, Jared, tell us about Wei Zhang Thunder Leader. Who is he?
Yeah, so I got Wei Zhang's Thunder Leader. It's their upscaled MPM Optimus Prime, and it's a really great figure that I broke.
What broke? Where did you break it?
The smokestack. The smokestack completely snapped off. It was completely my fault. I tried rushing through the transformation, and I put too much pressure on something that I should not have put a lot of pressure on. And next thing I know, the smokestack is off because it's a completely chromed out piece. But I have a replacement on the way. So, yay for that. But
Is it replacement smokestack, or are they just sending you a whole new figure?
I just got a whole new figure.
Where did you order from? Just to make sure we all know about this place that seems to have pretty good customer service.
TF Direct.
Okay.
And yeah, it's a really good figure. The transformation is really complex but smooth, and the end result for both robot and vehicle mode, they're just stunning.
But how tall is he? Just because I know he's upscaled, right? So he's bigger than the normal.
Yeah, he's like a head and a half taller than Challenger. Not Toy World. Unique Toys Challenger.
Do you have any mainline or any official figures to compare it to? Just so like compared to a leader figure, let's say.
He's definitely bigger than Commander Class Jetfire.
Ooh.
Mm.
Ooh, that is big.
Yeah.
Big boy. Is he like Titan size almost?
Not Titan size, definitely smaller than that, but
somewhere between like an old school Supreme. No, well not
Like
no, yeah,
Primus?
yeah, like Unicron. Supreme Unicron would probably be somewhere. Jared, do you have Unicron? Or Primus?
I have I have Primus.
Where's it?
And
Yeah, compared to Primus, how big?
they're about equal.
Mm.
Okay, so I was right. Yeah, Supreme. That's
But
big. Ooh.
So
Yeah.
that means he's the same size as Supreme Cheetor then, right?
I don't remember. Maybe.
Ask
Supreme-
Don. I'm sure he would be glad to talk about it.
Supreme Cheetor's lanky though, so that might just be like the perception. He might be. I mean, no one should have Supreme Cheetor. So he turns into a truck that's the size of a planet. Then
Yes.
It's the Cybertron cartoon all over again.
Yay!
or the Energon cartoon toward the end with the Super Energon.
Oh yeah, they got big.
Yeah,
I forgot that.
Optimus Supreme
But-
and Galvatron.
Galvatron. Yeah.
Yeah, and one funny thing about the box that he comes in, at the very bottom of it, it says since 2007. I'm just like, I get that because the movie came out in 2007, so they're gonna put 2007 on it for reasons. But yeah, one thing I will say is during the transformation, whenever you are transforming like the chest piece, like with the headlights, be careful because it's really thin plastic with tight joints. So whenever you're transforming it, make sure you grab the panel at the hinges. Don't just grab it all willy-nilly. Actually, be gentle with it because it didn't give me any problems, but just to be safe, be careful during that part because you don't want to do what I did and break your expensive toy.
Good to know.
But
Good to know.
yeah, that's about it.
All right.
And whenever it broke, it was in the middle of the night, and I was just about to go to bed. And I'll mess with him for a little bit. Try transforming him. Ah, crap. So I went to bed sad that night.
Well, at the very least, they were able to hook you up with a replacement, so
Yeah.
you know now not to repeat the mistakes of your past
Hopefully.
self.
And knowing is half the battle.
That's right.
Joe. That's a reference that none of us should really get unless we watch those stupid edited versions that were on the internet and still are to this day.
Or you learned about the Transformers ones that never aired.
That was actually in the PS2 video game. To be, I was replaying the PS2 video game, and I was looking through all the extra stuff in the game, and those are actually in the PS2 game.
Oh, okay.
I stopped paying attention for a second. What's going on?
No, we're talking about the G.I. Joe and Transformer PSAs from the 80s.
Yeah.
Oh.
and I mentioned the edited versions that are really really funny.
Mm.
Um, there was one. I remember there was one time in college where in a class where there was a bunch of like pop culture like slogans, and one of them was "Knowing is half the battle," and our professor was like, "Okay, does anyone know where these are from?" And I'm like, "Well, knowing is half the battle is from GI Joe." She looked at me and she was like, "How do you know that?" And I was just like, "Well, no,
Because
it's
you're a
in
nerd.
it's in GI Joe, and then there's a bunch of unproduced Transformers ones that are basically a one for one. They just never came out, and it's like what?" So I schooled
And
her.
she had no idea what you were talking about.
No, she was interested. She was like, "What? How do you like?" Then it's like, "How do you know this?" I'm just like, I just do. I spend too much time on the internet."
Should have just told her you were a huge nerd. Like those exact words. I would have wanted to see that response. What she would have said in response.
I don't have any follow up to that.
Good.
I was gonna make you go next, but now I'm gonna make Michael go next.
Okay. So, for Christmas, I ended up getting a bunch of the Series 4 BotBots. I'm not going to talk over them all. I am loving them, especially in the new ones. I'll just go over a couple select ones. My favorite one so far is Dr. Flaskenstein, who is a beaker bottle that the bottom half of it turns into his lab coat, which I think is real cool. The creepiest one by far is Skitter Chatter, which is one of those like prop teeth that you like wind up and they move. It's just horrifying. It's just a horrifying thing. Krabby Grabby, I also don't understand what's going on there. I understand it's supposed to be a crab, but it feels off. The one I definitely understand the least is Fancy Flutter, which is a macaroon that turns into a thing with wings, like bat fish kind of wings. I don't know. And the one that disturbs me most of all is S'more and More, because they've got marshmallow boobs.
Like RC.
Oh God.
I will never let anyone forget about that.
No, let's bury it. Let's bury it deep underground.
All right, another crime to add to Zeus's list of crimes that
Yeah.
should get him voted off the island.
We're gonna hold some sort of tribunal.
Yeah.
Oh, if you were gonna hold a tribunal, you should have done it years ago.
Okay. But yeah, no. Despite the comments I've made on some of them, I do still very much like all of these new bots, and I still can't get over Whoopsie Cushion's name. Moving on, the first things I received this year, because they came through the mail, I had paid for them last decade technically. One of them was
It took them a long
bunch.
time to get to you.
Yeah, I know. One bunch of them was a bunch of Unicron trilogy figures, mostly Cybertron with a couple of Armada with partner Minicons. But the big one I was really excited for was Cybertron Jetfire. Complete. Never had that toy ever in childhood, and I really wanted it. And so many years later, I finally have it. And now, also with the Cybertron Hotshot I got from the same group, I've realized I have the original Autobot cast complete from that show.
You have to recreate the opening now.
Learn stop motion.
How about no?
The one thing I was going to ask,
Howard.
since you also have, God, what's his name? You have Shoki. You have the Shoki that I sold to you.
Yes.
You should look up pictures online to figure out how to do the, because
The
people
shuttle on top. Yeah,
Yeah.
as soon as you said Shoki, I remembered
Yeah.
because of Fuse Astro Train video.
right, the landing gear can fit perfectly inside of wherever it is that Jetfire's head hides away for vehicle mode.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's another one of those weird, at that point, weird things where like two figures who shouldn't have any sort of cross compatibility do. Like
Yes.
the Classics Jetfire and Optimus combination. Like that one time that I brought it up when Jared got both of those, I was like, they can combine, and all of you were like, what?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Oh boy.
That combination was a mess.
It's not meant to do it, but it can. Someone figured it out. Some wild person. I want to know.
It can be done. It shouldn't be done, but it can be done.
I just want to know
Just
what was happening
just
at
like
that
the
point.
RC triplets, from my understanding.
Right, but back then at the very least, these toys that thematically should not go together. I don't. Who decided? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna like Jetfire and Astro Train. Who decided? I mean, I guess. What is it? That type of big like plane has carried shuttles before, so that's where someone was like, haha, I'm playing with them. It's like, wait, this works.
Yep.
That's part
And Stratosphere had the biggest disappointment when he would have come with a shuttle that would have attached to his top and would have turned into a handheld weapon for robot mode.
Yeah, but Revenge of the Fallen had all those budget cuts, so we lost a lot of ideas. The whole thing with the Classics Astro Train mold and the Jetfire mold, specifically why I always kind of wanted movie Toys R Us exclusive Jetstorm. Yeah.
Yes.
But alas, that never happened.
Yeah.
And then you got one more thing. That you listed.
And I also bought a couple of things from Headmaster Don, and they arrived the other day, and they are a Armada Hotshot with his Minicon partner Jolt, and a trio of Kremzeeks.
Where are the Kremzeeks from?
Well, there's yellow, blue, and purple. The yellow one I can definitely identify as the one that came with the MP Megatron of all those years back. I don't know where the blue and the purple ones come from.
Interesting.
Because I looked on the wiki because I thought they were came with the Seekers. Because I'm like, okay, one's the standard yellow, one's blue, and one's purple. That makes the group.
Did they possibly come with redecos of Megatron?
There's nothing on the wiki that says such. Were they a third party thing? Maybe.
I honestly don't know. You could ask Don. Don would probably remember.
Yeah, true.
Where are these
but
from?
I do want to talk about Armada Hotshot real quick because I haven't had that mold long, and it's such a weird mold.
And you have the Power Links redeco, right?
Yeah, that was one of the ones I got in the same group as I did with the Cybertron Jetfire.
So they were both from Don?
No.
So wait,
No, only the regular one. The Armada Hotshot came with Jetfire and Cybertron Hotshot. In that group.
So the Hotshot you're talking about right now, is it the normal colors or the Power Links?
The normal colors.
Oh, I didn't see that in the picture.
Yeah, it was off to the right.
So you got both of them?
Yes. Predominantly for the minicons.
Good grief.
I mean, they were very cheap.
Oh, I did not even see. Yeah, this picture that you have up on both your Twitter and your Instagram, Soundjack426,
Yes.
are flanked with, either side. You have Jolt and then Jolt's respective, why do my shoulders hurt? Man.
Yes.
It's a shame that with the Armada figures, for whatever reason, they just painted the Autobot symbols pure
Red.
Well, I mean, it's more of a shame the fact that they decided, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to we're going to mold the Autobot symbols onto our figures.
Mm-hmm.
Because then it's just like, okay, if you want to switch the faction, you have to retool the figure. You're dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense.
And then
Which is
painting that in and everything, that's another like huge thing.
yeah.
Now, so you essentially have him in both of his colors and whatnot. Would you ever be inclined to go after the Superlink ones just because of the fact that it's got the light up gimmick?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Sadness.
I wasn't aware that there was a light up gimmick, but I'm just gonna say no.
Yeah.
The molds are weird enough that I'm glad I had the experience to handle them, but I don't need any more copies.
His right arm. They redid it.
Oh, that's right. It had the light up gimmick, so you could put the Star Saber in there.
Right. Didn't really work right. Optimus kept his because big like
He's
super base Optimus had the same gimmick. And he still had it. Hotshot lost it for the US release. That's why I have my Superlink one, because I wanted the gimmick, and at the time I didn't think it worked, but then I just realized that because it's his side mirrors that are the side mirror on the arm is what triggers the light up, and I was pushing it the wrong way, so I'm like, oh, it's broken. No, it's the only reason why I bought this stupid thing, and then I pushed it the other way and it worked, and I was like, yes.
Also, does the visor on the Power Links hotshot come down?
No.
Okay, because I know it came down on my normal one, on the regular version.
They retooled the head, and for whatever reason, they gutted that feature.
I don't understand.
They retooled the head so he didn't have like the gaping mouth.
Oh, okay.
Because he was supposed to have a gritted teeth look, and when they molded the head, something happened, and so he just has the open mouth, kind of like duh face, or like very happy smile, like ah. So they retooled him when they did the Power Links version.
Gotcha. But yeah, that's what I have so far obtained in this space year 2020.
All good stuff. I suppose we can ignore Zeus's crimes for the moment and allow him to speak about the newest acquisitions.
All right, great. So the last two things that I got in 2019 were Siege Spinister and Chromar. Chromar is just 6-gun, but in my opinion, with a better paint job. Because I like the black and red and silver look better than the white, red, and silver, I guess. I don't know. White figures I just don't like as much. It's a personal thing. And then
I can understand that.
Yeah. And then Spinister is great. He's got a fun transformation. Love the colors. Still very sad about that guy who repainted his in dull military gray.
At the very least, it was a good, the paint job was done well.
Yes. Good paint job, but a bad idea. That's the most fun part of the character, and you just painted over it.
Right, it's like that was his whole thing. It's like he came with 2 guns that turned into dudes, and he was in crazy colors. Yeah. And so they're like, okay, we made the 2 dudes in other releases, so you got to go buy those. But he comes with 2 guns, he comes in crazy colors, and he's the best deluxe of the line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although mine, I think a pin was put in like slightly off, so whenever I have him transformed, his cockpit kind of leans to the left a bit. It's weird.
You always seem to get misassembled figures.
It's not even that it was misassembled. I just think the pin wasn't fired in.
Well, I mean, that's what I take that as a misassembly, or the fact that it was misfired.
All right,
or a QC defect.
I have really bad QC luck.
You always do that, or not do that. Yeah, you purposefully seek them out.
Yes.
But
Give
then,
me all the figures with the bad quality control.
so you get all the bad quality control, and then Michael just breaks them, regardless of the quality control.
Yeah.
The last thing I would try to argue, but the last thing I broke was Siege Ape Face's shield.
Well, that's a common thing. So that's
Yeah.
at the very least that is something that a lot of people have done.
Yeah, my ape face, his there's a crack in his cockpit.
Again, you see, it's just, Michael broke something. You have bad QC.
Yeah.
Yes.
But then, like turning it around, this last item I'm kind of curious about in the QC department.
Oh boy. Yeah, before I get into that, I have a bit of a fun story about it. So it was supposed to be delivered on Saturday. I'd been watching my tracking all day for it because I was really excited to get it. At like 7:30, I get a notification that it was delivered. And this is like after I had already gotten the mail. So that was kind of my first red flag that something was wrong. So I go outside. I kind of wander around my front yard a bit to see if the mailman maybe put it somewhere that it shouldn't be. And it just wasn't there. So I figure, okay, this has happened before. It went to my neighbors up the street, who their address is like pretty similar to mine without giving too much away about where I live. If mine was like 12345, theirs is 12435.
Okay.
And so, you know, if you're just kind of glancing, it can end up in the wrong place. So I figure that's where it is. I walk up the street to see if they have it. No one's home. So I just kind of have to live without it for potentially another couple days, depending on whether or not they have it. So then I wake up at like 9 the next day, and I'm about to head out to see if they have it, and it's just sitting on my porch. So I guess they did have it and just left it there, or possibly I got a USPS delivery on a Sunday. Wouldn't be the first time
I'm
it's happened,
assuming
but
the
it's
former.
yeah. But anyways, I got the Sir Toys knockoff repaint of Studio Series Bumblebee Prime into Nemesis Prime, and he's really good. The plastic quality, it feels closer. This is a weird way of describing it, but it feels closer to the kind of plastic that they use on like Generations figures instead of Studio Series, because like the Studio Series one has a kind of grain to it where on certain parts you can feel it a little bit more, and it's definitely visible. But the plastic that they used for this one is much more smooth, and it looks a lot more like a Generations release.
I haven't felt up my Studio Series B Optimus, so I wouldn't be able to comment.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, even if you just kind of look at it, there's a certain grain to some of the plastic pieces.
I'll take your word for it. Mine's nowhere near me at the moment.
Great. Yeah, so that's not there. The paint is really nice. What's interesting is they don't advertise it, but actually his window chest area is made out of die cast, which I had kind of suspected since it felt cold a lot, but a little bit of paint chipped off on the inside, and I saw that it was metal underneath. So that was kind of a fun surprise. The transformation, there have been like some added connection points that make a few things kind of hold in a little better. And the joints are really nice. None of them are like super loose. They're all decently tight, and they're like kind of smooth when you move them. Instead of on like an official figure where there's kind of a natural stopping point to it, even if it's not a ratchet. It just will like move completely on its own. There's no like, it's hard to describe, but there's kind of like a jolt that you get when you start moving some of the joints on the official figures where, you know, it's static and then it's suddenly in motion. You don't really get that on this one.
How much was that?
What?
How much was it?
With shipping, $25.
What?
Yeah.
How long did it take to get there?
Well, I ordered it before Christmas, so it took like a month. But if I had to guess, it'd probably take a few weeks to get to you.
Still, well, even then, like a month isn't that bad for $25 for
Yeah.
And yeah, you took a picture. It's a 1-to-1.
It's a 1-to-1.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like if I buy it, then Takara's just gonna announce like some sort of show exclusive for that same mold in those colors, and then I'm gonna be like, I need the official one.
Yeah.
So hopefully, the fact that you bought it means that they'll do an official one now, and that'll be the
Yeah, and I'm satisfied with this. They actually a few pieces are pinned in on this that aren't on the official figure. So like the arms that the chest move out on are pinned now to the torso. And then there are a couple pins in the pieces that kind of fold underneath the windows. The little silver strips are pinned in. So some of the connections are made a little more solid too. It's a really good quality figure for what you're paying. Because like more than half of the cost of this guy for me was shipping. It's like $10 on its own and 15 for shipping, I think.
That makes sense considering the fact that they just sold the design and repainted it.
Yeah, and since coming from China,
or even just
but it's
not even stole the design. They probably just fired up the molds at the same factory and were like,
yeah,
right.
exactly. And it's solid, really good quality. Like if I didn't know any better, I would think that this was some kind of official release, probably.
I mean, at this point, unless it's like a KO you find at like a dollar store, most KOs seem to be like pretty legit as far as quality is concerned.
Yeah.
Which then gets into messy areas when they're also in the same packaging and pretty much counterfeits.
Yeah. But again, what's weird is that like there's some tabs that are on this one that aren't on the official figure. So like I'm trying to think of a good example. There's I know when you fold like the arm panels up, there's an extra tab that locks the part with the window onto the back part. Like that's an extra tab connection that wasn't there before. There's a couple changes to the way that the legs tab together. It's all just kind of subtle changes to the way that things lock in and connect, but it makes it a lot stronger.
Cool.
And it kind of holds together better. The only real issue I've had with it is that they're like on the window pieces, there are a couple little like nubs that stick out and make it so that they can't sit flush. So that's actually where the paint chipped off from me trying to force them together. So I ended up just taking a Dremel to that and kind of filing those pieces down. And it sits flush now, and it's great.
Cool. All right.
Nice.
That wraps up what we got. So we will move into a couple of pieces of news, and then we can possibly get into the meat and potatoes of this show, or wrap it up depending on how we feel and how long it takes us to get through these news items.
Whoa.
Woohoo!
So first up, we have kind of a huge whammy of stuff that might have just spoiled Toy Fair, or at least a good portion of what was going to be exciting about Toy Fair.
Yes.
We have a large amount of Studio Series and Earthrise listings coming to us, I believe, mostly from
through Walmart.
It seems that they've been traced back to the ACD distribution website that usually is, and for the last like 2 years is where a lot of our stuff is coming from as far as early releases. I think these were first popped up in a Walmart computer by JT17 Prime or something on TFW 2005.
Yeah, who has been reliable with this kind of stuff.
All of these sources that these have been popping up have been reliable.
Yeah.
So first up, we have actually this might not be the complete list.
It's got the Voyagers listed up here. There just aren't pictures for the listing.
Right. I mean, I'm trying to think of there was the initial Walmart listing which had the Voyager Quintesson, Voyager Snapdragon,
Oh, wait, it's the thing you're looking for is the third thing down in the show notes.
Nope, that's a different list.
You
No, I
sure?
know what one you're talking about. It also
Oh.
had the Commander Skylinks, right?
Oh, that.
No, this was the one where, because we had, jumping ahead a little bit, we had the Cyberverse reveal of the Quintessons and the Sharkticon packs. And then everyone was saying,
Yes.
oh, that's where the Quintesson's coming from. And then we got the subsequent listing of another Quintesson. And then we were like, okay, no, there is a Voyager Quintesson coming.
Yes.
So we have the Voyager Quintesson, Voyager Snapdragon, Deluxe, Sunstreaker, Trailbreaker, and
Fast Track and Run Amok.
Fast Track and Renamuk. Yes, that is correct. Um,
And then Quintessa as well.
the Quintessa might be
Quintessa,
something else.
Yeah.
And then the Micromaster, Racetrack Patrol, and the Astra Squad. So the Astra Squad was a Micromaster combiner, and the Racetrack Patrol is the one where Micromaster Barricade comes from.
Yes.
So there's a chance that we might get Micromaster Barricade in Earthrise, which would be hilarious.
That would be hilarious, but I doubt it.
You could softly implicate or like indicate that like Earthrise Barricade Micromaster is Earthrise. Siege Deluxe Barricade. Something happened to him. He got tiny.
Yep.
In addition to those,
Shrunk.
there were additional listings found for a Micromaster Battle Squad, who I have no idea who they are.
The Battle Squad, isn't that the ones that I have? The blue one with the purple gun on the back?
Someone look it up and tell me what it is, because I have no clue. And a Voyager E Megatron, which most likely means Voyager Earth Mode Megatron, which means that we're going to get a Megatron in Earthrise that has a Earth Vehicle mode.
Yeah, it's the Wave 5 ones that turn into like the weapon truck thing or whatever it is.
Oh, the Battle Squad. Oh, so it's a repack of
the Battle Squad.
Yeah.
Unless
they end up doing one of the other two combiner
the other
ones.
two groups,
Well,
yeah,
it would-
because
it would- there's a chance that they could do any of the other two. But yeah, Direct Hit and Power Punch.
Yes.
yeah,
So it's probably just going to be those because they are doing a lot of repacks.
repacks.
They're repacking Astro Train.
Astro Train,
Rung.
Rung, the
They're repacking Rung?
the hammer lady whose name I don't remember.
Smash down.
Smashdown, yeah.
Smashdown. Yeah, they're repacking a lot of stuff.
But most of it, besides Astro Train, has been
Tiny.
smaller than Deluxe.
Yeah, I don't think they would repack. At least maybe not until like late wave, possibly.
Yeah.
And even then, I'm not sure who they would repack as far as deluxes go. But that's
So wait,
what.
what about that other listing?
Right. So that was my follow up. There's an additional listing. This one's coming from a Mr. Chaos, and T-Formers touts that this person has been reliable in the past. I can't think of a specific leak that Mr. Chaos has been related to, but this one specifically lists a Deluxe Airwave who is shares the name with a Micromaster Airport Base from the Generation 1 toy line.
Yes.
Quintesson Alicon, RC, and Smokescreen. So RC and Smokescreen, straightforward, Earth modes or just new generations figures for RC and Smokescreen. Smokescreen probably being them the first of a new Datsun mold. Quintesson Alicon is interesting for two reasons. One, if this actually pans out, we're getting Alicons, which in our group chat when we were talking about the fact that we've had we're going to get the Quintessons. I was like, okay, we're like at Toy Fair, someone's going to have to ask them, when are we getting respect for the Alicons? Because the Alicons are in a pretty important scene in the 86 movie. And they've never gotten an official toy. And so now
Yeah.
we have this listing, which some have pointed out that we got a listing for a deluxe Quintessa, which could very much be
This Alicon.
an abbreviation
Quint-
at the either they're calling the Alicon's Quintessa, which would be dumb, or more specifically, in whatever listing was originally seen, the Quintesson part was cut off, and there was just the A from the Alicon, which would make sense.
And it was assumed Quintessa.
Right, which made no sense, because it's like, okay, what are we going to get? A Micromaster base that turns into a skull?
Yep. Or we just get the Last Night Quintessa as a deluxe figure.
Oh. Apparently, I didn't read this article, Mr. Chaos has leaked Leader Astro Train, Studio Series Bone Crusher, and 2007 Voyager Studio Series Optimus. So,
Okay.
there's a good chance this is accurate, which means, well, hey, more throwbacks to the 86 movie, and a lot of figures in Earthrise who probably, for the name of the line, shouldn't be on Earth. Why are the Quintessons on Earth?
Didn't they say it's like they're traveling to Earth?
John Warden did say something along the lines of that the theme of the line is like the journey to Earth and like the early bits on Earth. So it's like, I guess these figures represent the pit stops they made along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that whatever planet they ended up on, they had to not only adapt themselves, but adapt the terrain to suit their needs, which is why they're doing the base thing.
Yeah.
With the modulators and then all of the other figures who have connection ports for the different bases and whatnot. Slitherfang was another one that was
Yes.
in one of the listings. Slitherfang's a Battlemaster.
We have nothing to work on, but my assumption is it's effectively a Decepticon ramp, but with a snake.
Yeah, something. We'll find. There'll be some sort of diorama at Toy Fair.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, before there's a slew of Studio Series reveals as well. But any one figure out of this crop that is speaking to anyone, I'm certainly very interested in the Alicon. I'm going to buy too many of them.
Yeah.
Alicon
The
sounds
Alicon-
exciting. Also,
sorry.
Snapdragon.
True, Snapdragon does sound exciting. Although I'm cautiously optimistic given the fact that Ape Face ended up the way he did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Alicon is interesting. RC, again, like, I've been like, trying to justify it, but like, it's still weird seeing RC in Earthrise.
If she's essentially her robots in disguise Earth mode, like the IDW comics,
Yeah,
because that was a really good design.
that was.
Because it was pretty much taking her classic
complain if it
design
was
and just
that.
giving her the little cues to be in Earth mode. I would actually love to see that.
Yes.
Smokescreen just means we're gonna get more Datsuns, so then it's like the guessing game of
Unless it's actually is a standard retail release of the Siege Deluxe.
that would be so dumb if
Yeah.
they
It
did
would.
that. That would just be like, why bother releasing the Generation Selects one if you're just gonna re-release it at retail? Be really dumb on their part. I'm not saying
It would.
I wouldn't put it past. I'm not saying I wouldn't put it past them, but that would be amazing. At the same time, it just means like that we'll be playing this roulette of like, okay, if Smokescreen's the retail release, who becomes the Generation Selects release? Prowl? That would
Or
be
Blue Streak.
wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, if this is true, then looks like the Seekers aren't the only repaints that we're gonna have to buy all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Not repaint. Well,
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
Repaints.
redecos and retools. It's the same. It's the same thing as the Seekers. It's like, oh, you got
no,
all the Dotsons.
I was just confused because I'm like, wait, they're not repaints of the original mold, and I just
No,
got myself
you-
confused.
No, they conned us into getting all the Dotsons and all of the Seekers, and they're like, hey, round 2.
get ready to do it all again
least
with just slight
Barricade
differences.
probably
And
won't
then
get
in the
done
third,
again.
and then the third line will be like, okay, now you have to do it all again, but this time it's all of them after they've died. So you get Prowl with a bunch of smoke effects and holes in his body. You get Thundercracker and Skywarp in the midst of being reformatted by Unicron. You get a pile of ashes with stars for Starscream.
And a pair of
Actually, no,
thighs.
just make Starscream out of gold plastic so he can just turn into dust
Who-
right after you buy him.
Who did Megatron kill? Or kind of kill? Did he kill Dirge? 'Cause Galvatron
bad
shoots one of
comedy?
the... Huh?
The bad comedy scene?
No.
I feel like it was Dirge.
No, bad comedy. That's Starscream.
But wasn't Dirge there too?
No, I'm saying... No, and... I was pretty sure at some point in Season 3, Megatron shoots one of the Coneheads.
Galvatron.
That's what I meant.
Okay.
Could have been.
Maybe. I mean, I remember there was the one scene where Dirge, Thruster, Ramjet, and then Runamuck Runabout were all lined up on a wall, and the Megatron blasted in the middle of them, and they scattered. So then again, all of the Coneheads were shown being devoured by Unicron in the movie, so...
Who knows?
That is also true. Alright, so no, I'm thinking of that scene where they all get shot. I thought one of them died.
No.
Alright. But yeah, Earthrise, again, it looks like they're gonna, like, the theme, or at least the name of the line, still seems kind of like, okay, whatever, because it's just like, you're throwing in characters who were never on Earth.
Yes.
But at the very least, like, you're giving us cool characters. They're going to be kind of tied into this pretty interesting base gimmick, and
Yeah.
you're giving us characters that we've never received before. Quintessons, Alicons.
Something
Hell,
else that ends like that.
And it also this just makes more. It helps make the Gnaw entry to the fan vote make more sense. Because if Gnaw had won, it would have thematically matched. So it's like Gnaw matches with the Quintessons and Alicons. All the other characters you could probably figure out, okay, they would have been retools of certain other toys in the line.
Needle Nose could have been from Starscream. Maybe.
But that wouldn't make sense, though, because why would they have the one Voyager, and 3 Deluxes?
I mean, at the point that they make Needle Nose, they'll also make tracks, because that's on a whiteboard somewhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
Needle Nose and tracks. It's like, just make them. We'll see
Yeah,
them.
that was part of the fan vote for last year.
Yeah, they would have been in Siege, but they got beat out by Impactor and
Mirage. Because people really wanted an Impactor.
Yes. I'm gonna say, beyond the surprise of the Quintessons being involved, for the most part, these leaks are pretty safe. Like they'd be expected.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, as far as what, this is stuff that makes sense for the line, or
Stuff we were relatively expecting, like the Trailbreaker, Sunstreaker.
Well, right.
Fast
I mean,
Track
a
makes
lot
sense
of these
because of Scorponok.
Right. It's like the breakout stuff really is one. Well, one, I think with Fast Track, it's more just our reluctance to trust Hasbro, and despite the fact that they've proven again and again and again in the past, I would say 5 years, that they are very much like determined to finish teams and finish sets. I say that, and we still don't have a slammer for Metroplex, but who knows? Maybe that'll be the next Titan.
Slammer will be a whole Titan?
No, Metroplex will.
Yeah, we'll get a new Metroplex.
We'll get a new Metro to replace the Thrilling 31.
I kind of just want to get a whole Slammer as a Titan now.
All right.
Since I've put it out there into the world.
You'll get a Commander class to it's as a middle ground. But yeah, the like not six gun, fast track being pretty legit. The way that they're approaching Scorponok's headmaster being the way that everyone would figure you would do it, or do it like it's like that would be the best case scenario, and it's like, oh, they're doing the best case scenario. The fact that we're getting quintessence, like that's very much something I would have expected for the third line, not for this line. And the fact that it's just like, so then it's just like, what are you throwing? Like the fact that you're giving us stuff that I would have expected in the next line. What is the next one going to be?
Well, there's always the not safe guess of Beast Wars.
Beast.
But the thing,
or like colony, like I feel like it could be very much like a colony world type of thing. It's like, oh, what's post Earth is discovering all of the worlds that have been either touched by the Transformers or will now be very much integrated with Transformers. So Nebulos and nonsense like that.
Yeah. And then maybe we get a Beast Planet, and then we get finally some new Beast Wars figures, other than the two.
They'll say, screw you, they're only going to make new toys of the Cybertron Jungle Planet figures.
I wouldn't be mad.
Me neither.
Me neither.
I mean, neither would I.
As long as it's not like we're just going to make Brimstone, Wreck Loose, and like... was it Undertow? Was that his name?
Undermine.
Undertow.
Which one was the pterodactyl?
That was Brimstone.
Brimstone, okay.
And Wreck Loose was a scout who didn't show up in the show.
That is is real cool.
Actually, you should they should make a new backstop.
Yeah. What if they just out of the blue, since we were talking about like weird crossover connections that could be made, combinations, what if they just made a new Leo Breaker and made it somehow compatible with the Siege Galaxy Upgrade Prime?
Oh, he's a weaponizer.
What if I finally get my Star Saber?
No.
No.
Why am I not allowed to be happy?
You can buy the MP. You'll be happy then.
I have the MP.
Well, then you're happy already.
But I want a generation scale one, since most of my collection is generation scale.
He is generation scale. He's the right size for compared to all the other characters. He's the size of a combiner. That's what he should be.
I want another one though, because I'm greedy.
It would just be a commander class,
which would still be the right size.
I know. I just want another one because I'm greedy.
Then buy another one.
Buy a second masterpiece.
Do you think I have that kind of money? I have no job, Jared.
Then why are you buying stuff off of Sir Toys?
I bought that a month ago when I still had a job.
You should have been like, well, that's why I bought it off of Sir Toys. That's all I can afford is Chaos. Jumping to the other half of the ACD distribution listings, we have two Voyagers, and I believe in the midst of the listings there was confirmation of another one, or I guess further confirmation, because we had Takara listings for Sentinel Prime, Voyager Sentinel Prime from Dark of the Moon. These add two more Studio Series Voyagers we'll be seeing. A Generations Studio Voyager Skipjack, who, that is a name assigned to another one of the Rampage body-type Decepticons from Revenge of the Fallen. This comes from Takara's
Yes.
easy scale, so the Legends scale figures.
And it was an orangey yellow.
Right. So this is most likely going to be toy, if you want to say toy colors Rampage from Revenge of the Fallen. And then another one we have listing. We have Generation Studio Voyager Blitzwing. Finally, we are going to get the essentially final character that. Well, not really. There were a couple characters we would still need, but as far as like people who were in the main sequence for the Bumblebee movie, Blitzwing
we're on Earth with Earth modes.
And with Earth modes, Blitzwing very much was something that people were asking for. Eric, who is not with us at the moment, but he very much was asking for this. He'd probably be going nuts about the fact that this is officially coming out, and the fact that this is coming out so late in the game compared to those initial Bumblebee movie figures hopefully means that he will be incredibly accurate, because for all of the other Bumblebee movie characters who have gotten second chances through second molds, they all look really good. We'll be talking about
even starting with Optimus, they've all looked really good.
Optimus is good. I have problems with some of his details. He has an inaccurate face sculpt, which bothers me. His face is too wide, and his ears aren't long enough.
It's close enough, though.
It's
better than the Bumblebee and original Dropkick.
But not, yes, but
and Car Shatter.
He's like a half step. He's like a half step from those. Because then all of the other ones that we've seen, Car Dropkick, Plane Shatter, and Off-Road Jeep Bee, all look even more incredibly accurate than Prime does. So personally, I would love if they did a second pass on Prime.
I don't think they're going to.
They won't.
They probably won't.
They never will.
Yeah. And they won't do a second pass on B either, most likely.
No, they would. I wouldn't
they
be
did.
surprised if
They did the Jeep one.
Right. But I mean specifically a second pass on, like, Volkswagen B.
Oh
no, it's Bumblebee.
Volkswagen B they wouldn't, but they'll probably do one for they might do one for Camaro B. Either that or we'll wait for a sequel, and then the sequel will just piggyback off a Studio Series, and then I'll get my more accurate Optimus.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then that's where we get, and then they'll just be like, oh, hey, we're going to do a new VWB mold, because.
Why not?
Maybe
there'll be a flashback.
Jumping to Skipjack, though, are they going to repaint everyone?
I hope not.
Probably not, because.
Well, because they can do... So, Skipjack's one. They can do, Demolishor.
Yes. Into Scavenger.
No.
Or the other way. No, you're right. Into Demolisher.
Right. Because...
Yeah. There was never another Mixmaster. Nor Scrapper.
They could do Long Haul as...
Payload.
Sure, Payload, but I was thinking of Onslaught from last night.
Well, that'd
be a retool.
That'd be a whole retool, or maybe even like a whole new mold, but he basically turns into the same robot mode.
Yeah.
Payload is just like it's the straight repaint. But if they start homaging Hunt for the Decepticons figures, then they have to go all the way, and they just have to like do every kooky repaint that they can.
Yeah, and then do a Hunt for the Decepticons Lockdown and other figures from that line. Do a new Bludgeon. It's been a while since we've had a good Bludgeon.
I would say...
Ain't going to happen until maybe next year with Generations.
Maybe.
Or if somehow we get Bludgeon as Cyberverse Deluxe.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Because he is in the show.
That would be.
He certainly is.
So that wraps up those new listings. As I mentioned before, one of the other pieces of news we have are the Cyberverse surprise multi-packs that just showed up at Target in the past 2 weeks. We have the Quintesson Invasion 3-pack with a Quintesson Judge, And then the Spark Armor, like, basic figures, Prowl and Shockwave, but instead of their Spark Armor, they have essentially, like, control helmets that go into the same slots. And then the
Wait,
other
those
one
are the Spark Armor ones?
Yes, those are.
I looked at them and I thought they were the Warriors.
No, they're tiny. They're the Spark Armor
Well, okay.
figures. They have the same, like, 5mm ports that, like, near their heads where the
On
armor
the
comes in.
on the shoulders.
That makes more sense then.
They
Yeah,
just have
yeah,
less
okay.
paint
And
in
then
some
the
cases.
other pack is the Sharkticon attack pack with fusion. It's a repack of Fusion Flame Hot Rod, who will also be available as a standalone warrior figure, and then he comes with 3 tiny turbochanger Sharkticons, 2 of which are painted with green fins and 1 that's painted with orange, and more details on the back.
Yep.
Um,
And makes them accurate to the show.
I think both of these are listed at $20.
No, the Sharkticon was 20, while the Quintesson was 30.
30. Yeah. Well, I guess that
Yeah,
makes
which
sense.
is-
Three
which-
basic figures.
Yeah, which is why I think people were also thinking like, oh, that was our Quintesson Voyager listing because
Right.
it was $30.
And then we got further confirmation of the Quintesson listing, and then there was kind of talk of like, okay, someone probably saw the Quintesson listing and then saw the Cyberverse Quintesson and thought they were the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the Quintesson, I need to see the Generations Quintesson before I kind of like determine
Yes.
what I'm going to do. If I'm going to like, because it's either I can troop build, I can build the troops of like the Cyberverse Quintesson, or I can just troop build the Voyager because it'd be the same price. But I won't.
Yeah.
But in one route, I end up with slightly different Quintessons, but also like zombie prowls and shockwaves.
An army of zombies.
I kind of hope that they eventually just have the Sharkticons by themselves, because I don't want to have, like, someone who troop builds, like, for example, Matt from Radio Free Cybertron is going to end up with so many of those Fusion Flame hot rods.
Yes.
Which I guess a fleet of black, like, race car looking guys isn't that bad.
No, it isn't.
Just throw them as part of the Quintesson troop.
Right.
Yeah.
The Quintessons abducted Hot Rod and cloned him.
Yes. And he can only be in vehicle mode.
Mhm.
I guess, I don't know.
What they could do is they could put those Sharkticons in like the size box that they did for the scraplets and sell them that way if
By
they were.
himself. Well, I mean, they have the not
They
the,
could come in the tiny turbochanger class.
Right, they could come in the tiny
Yeah.
turbo changer wave, which would be easy, and then that'd be easy to troop build because you can look into the thing to see them.
I think if they do that, though, it's going to be toy colors instead of the black and purple and all that. It's going to be the gray.
were there any other colorways in the show?
Yeah, all the Sharkticons in the show are being represented in the correct colors by the Sharkticon pack.
My question was, were there any other colors that aren't here?
No, it was purple, green, and orange.
Yeah, so I think if they do put the Sharkticons into the tiny turbo changers, it's probably going to end up being just in like the grays and blues that all the toys have come in.
Which at the same time wouldn't be that bad because that would also match up with both Titans Return Nah and the Cyberverse Nah.
Cyberverse, nah,
It's
yeah,
already
exactly.
Which I need to go back to a store now because I kind of want to like build more troops of Nas, and I passed by a store that had them on rollback, and they had like 4.
Ooh, okay. Oh, the deluxe one?
The warrior class.
The
one, but yeah.
warrior, I mean.
Yeah.
Huh.
I may need to go back.
The only time I've seen a warrior Nah was whenever I got the Dreadlock, and that was the last time I've ever seen like anything from Cyberverse that's new, deluxe wise or warrior wise.
Is anyone gonna get either of these sets?
I may go grab one of the Shark to Contact pack.
Yeah, I might get the Sharkticon pack too.
And I agree with you, Miguel. Well, I will wait on the Quintesson until we figure out more about this Voyager Earthrise Quintesson, which, I mean, we're probably going to get info in about a month. So,
month and a half. About, yeah, we'll see. We'll probably, oh god. Oh no, what if they have what if one of the diorama displays is just a Sharkticon pit? I might bring Cup and Hot Rod just in case. Just be like, can we just get these pictures, please?
Just like with how Ant had the roller and confused the hell out of people that didn't know.
As if I haven't talked to Ant. I don't know if I'm still going. I don't know what's happening. We don't know. No one knows. Who knows?
Who knows?
If I'm there, I'm bringing them.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, these look really, one, it's like they look pretty, like, I like the Sharkticons, and like, it's one of those things where it's like, if the pack was just the Quintessons and the Sharkticons, it's like, they'd be flying off the shelves.
Yes.
And that's exactly why they put them separately.
But to sell what? A warrior that's already going to be in the warrior cases, and then re-decos of, because then how amazing would it have been if it was just, oh, here's the Quintesson, here's the Sharkticons, and then you're like, oh, what are these control helmets for? It's like, oh, well, if you have your Spark Armor figures, you can slap them on, and now you can have your Quintessons control. No, that would have been a better set.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they probably aren't doing that because it's cheaper for them to sell it as two different things that they think people are going to buy than one that they know people are going to buy. Because,
that doesn't make any sense.
If people end up wanting both, which a lot of people are going to end up wanting both, then they're going to get both sets.
But then there's going to be so many of those Fusion Flame Hot Rods sitting on shelves, clogging up space.
Right, like, why release it as a standalone warrior? In addition to the set.
Do we have any idea if these are Target exclusives?
Not at the moment. They're only showing up at Target, but
since there's no official information on it, we can only.
But at the same time, Cyberverse like multi-pack stuff never ends up being like almost like a soft exclusive where it's not really touted as an exclusive, but like the Prime with the trailer only showed up at Walmart. Cheetor and Arc Optimus only showed up at Target. Usually these larger sets.
No, Cheetor I think was specifically branded as Target exclusive.
Okay. No, he wasn't. Because I have it. I bought the Cheetor and it didn't say anything on the box. No.
No, I thought.
No.
I could have sworn.
Yeah, I thought it was weird too that there wasn't anything on it because it sounded like it was a Target exclusive.
It is,
but
there
was
Target
no
exclusive. As far as putting it on the box, I mean, they don't do that much anymore.
Yeah.
It's usually also because it's like they're not going to print it on the box because other countries it'll be either an exclusive to some other retailer or just be a mass release.
Yeah.
So I guess for these, they just stopped bothering with slapping the sticker on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that concludes our Cyberverse news for the time being. The only other thing is these are starting to show up in end caps with some of the other Battle for Cybertron / Bumblebee Cyberverse Adventures figures, which includes a Warrior, Optimus, and Starscream 2-pack, and then the deluxes, the first wave of deluxes are starting to show up places. So keep your eyes peeled.
Which I still think it's amazing that they didn't put a Starscream in that first wave, and instead they put a Shockwave.
And there's not even the Starscream even
planned for the first 3
Yeah.
waves.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what they'll do?
And Windblade is still getting the short end of the stick.
That she is.
Mm-hmm.
For a figure that isn't getting the short end of the stick, but is looking to be a pretty top contender for like deluxe, one of the deluxes of the year already. We have our first in-hand like review, pretty much, of Studio Series 57 Deluxe Off-Road Bumblebee, courtesy of Prime vs. Prime on YouTube. I did not think I was going to like this figure as much as I do now.
Mm-hmm.
Those early renders, I was like, okay, whatever. And now I'm just like, crap, I'm gonna have to get this. He looks so good.
He does.
It's a dynamite wave of deluxes.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the comparison right now. The face is so much nicer. He doesn't have the weird pig snout.
This Bumblebee is based off of the movie model, whereas the other one was like this weird approximation of like, we started developing it when we had the early stuff, and then you guys changed the movie. So here's like a demon.
This.
And
It's weird though that the one who's made of a Jeep looks like softer.
Yeah, no, it's funny how that ended up working. The fact that he's based off of that new silhouette, so he's round. He's a cute, cuddly boy.
Yes.
I just wanted to give him a hug and tell him
Sweet boy. That's
he's
what I was.
doing
I
good.
couldn't remember what Yoke-san said.
Sweet boy.
He's a sweet boy. Who can murder because he's got a Gatling gun and can also It appears that he can use the
sword,
the
that
bayonet
comes with-
weapon thing that the Volkswagen comes with.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't come with one himself, but it's compatible.
Yes.
Which, you know what? If they couldn't give him a blade, you know what? Why not?
I'm watching the video right now, and there's some parts of the transformation that look like a little bit scary, not because of the way it transforms, but just because like his entire front bumper is all clear plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's-
Hasbro really likes doing that right now, which is really, really annoying.
Yeah, that's for sure gonna break
Prime
in a
example.
couple years.
Ape face.
Well,
Oh,
no, as
yeah.
far as making the entirety, like, in a lot of these cases, it's specifically to allow for like Bumblebee does the same thing that the Trailbreaker hoist mold in Earthrise is doing, where they want to get clear in this case
Windows
it's a clear
and
window and clear
headlights.
headlights, and so they make the entire rest of it clear.
Which they shouldn't do, because we've seen that they don't have to do it. Even with like Studio Optimus, he's got
But it might
windows
be
kind of inset.
it might be a thing of parts, like or like parts complexity and whatnot, of having to then do like separate pieces and whatnot, which then just becomes a cost saving measure, which is annoying because ultimately that means that you just run a greater risk of cracks and breakage for people who have bad luck with clear plastic.
Me.
Yeah, like watching and looking at the review, with how the chest is, like the middle part is regular plastic and the faux Jeep bits are clear plastic. You can see that on the one bit the yellow paint's chipped off, or like is like faded and chipped on like the chest piece, and that's probably going to be really annoying for some people as well.
And yeah, and the color matching isn't great.
Yeah.
You never get perfect color matching with yellow
Yeah, perhaps it'll
when
look
you
a
have
little
to
bit.
paint some of it and
Well,
mold
Zeus,
some
this just
of
means
it.
that this can be a project for you.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to start another Wasp.
No, just paint. Give it a new paint job and like pick out the details.
All right. I mean, I did that on the other Bumblebee that I have. I gave him more gunmetal.
Right. See,
guess
so
I could
you
do it
can
on
do
this
that to
too.
him. Give him some
Yeah.
some um even out his yellow paint job. Take out some of the pick out some of those details for the silver and everything, and you'll be good.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
bathe him in alcohol, and all his clear plastic will melt.
That only happened once, okay?
I didn't say anything about that wasn't a nod to anything you've done in the past. I was just saying it generally because he's got clear plastic, and clear plastic melts if you dump alcohol on it.
Yeah, that's something that when I was back in it was either late 2018 or early 2019 when I was starting the WASP project, which I still haven't even finished, that I learned that lesson.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, this Bumblebee looks good. This wave of Studio Series is gonna probably be pretty good, and then that just continues the trend of mainline stuff kicking butt. As of late, both as far as engineering goes with the Generation stuff, both Studio Series and the War for Cybertron stuff, and then Cyberverse just continuing to be goofy and fun.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
we're starting off the decade. We're coming off of last decade and starting this one very strong, which is more than we could say for where we started in 2010. But we'll get into that in just a bit. Before that, or even segueing into that, we'll start off with a history lesson. Michael, if you're ready, take it away.
All right. Today,
Hello?
December 6th.
Okay.
Did you just write the wrong date?
I left December, and I wrote the 6th. It should be January.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
It's not the end of 2020.
Yeah.
Already?
So on
it
this
feels
day,
like it just started.
Yeah. Time is weird when you're out of school.
Hmm.
On this day, the day we're recording this, again, January 6th, on this day in history, in 1976, Johnny Young Bosch, a.k.a. the voice of Bumblebee in the Transformers War for Cybertron video game, is born. And in 2010, Tales of the Fallen #6 is released by IDW Publishing. And that was the last issue of that series, and specifically the issue that talked about how RC became how she is in Revenge of the Fallen.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. It bridges the gap between the IDW first movie ancillary comics and whatnot, which showed RC, Chromia, and Elita 1 as separate characters, and then it's like, okay, how do they in different bodies? And it shows them, or RC, essentially being experimented on and split between their three. Forget if it's like it's Flatline. And it also introduces Flatline, who eventually gets imported into the main IDW universe, where he experiments on her and essentially recreates her, Chromia, and Elita 1 through using splicing RC Spark.
Yeah.
It also kind of suggests that the twins are the way they are because they were experimented on.
Which, not great.
Yeah, it's a weird way to kind of just throw that out. And then Johnny Young Bosch, voice of Bumblebee, and the second Black Power Ranger in Mighty Morphin, and the Green Ranger in Zeo, and in the first half of Turbo.
And hopefully...
He's a bunch of anime roles.
Sorry.
What?
Sorry, I was trying to say, and hopefully, to clarify, it was for the War for Cybertron video game, because hopefully the Netflix War for Cybertron series will be coming out soon.
Right. War for Cybertron has been used for many things.
Yes.
But those two history lessons both tie in to the start of the past decade, the 2010s, which were a very interesting decade. We're going to go into kind of a I'm hoping brief, but it might, who knows how long it'll take. Sort of retrospective. I have 4 main sort of points to touch on. So, toy highlights, media highlights, personal highlights, and then I guess tying to that first one, favorite toys of the past decade. I'd like to stress for official toys, but if you have to say something third party, that's fine. If you can figure out a tie-in to maybe something thematic, like historic as far as third party goes, be my guest. If not, I'll help. I could probably make that up. I wrote enough essays in college. But yeah, the 2010s were an interesting and this is a question I wanted to ask. How, were all of you collecting at the start of the past decade?
No.
Yeah.
Where were each of you? Starting with Michael, going to Zeus, and then Jared. Where were each of 2010? Where are you in your Transformers journey?
2010, I was still watching the stuff, got back into buying some things after being didn't want to get animated for whatever reason. And I was just picking things up here and there. Nothing. I didn't get super into collecting until Combiner Wars came around in 2014. But I was aware of everything, and I was like, oh, I want this, I want this, I want this, and I just never got most of it.
All right, Jared. I know I'm screwing up the order I said, but Jared, go.
Well, keep in mind that 2010 I was only a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think.
Yeah, where were you? No, this is the point. This is the point I wanted to make. Where were you?
I still knew the series and all that stuff, and I had figures, but I was definitely not buying figures just with the intent of collecting.
Was Transformers your top thing at the time, or were you
No.
What was the top thing in 2010 for you, for 10-year-old Jared, if you remember?
I can barely remember something that happened 10 minutes ago, let alone 10 years ago.
All right,
but
if
it was
go ahead.
Transformers was mainly Transformers and Star Wars, and yeah, mainly those two. But 2010, me looking in my room right now, I none of the figures will be here that I have in my room right now, which is crazy to think. But oh boy, yeah. I was just kind of there for the ride.
Okay. What about Zeus? Zeus, how old were you in 2010?
I was also 10.
Good grief.
Yes. That's where we're at right now. Good grief.
Yeah.
The 2010s were kind of interesting for me because for most of my childhood, Transformers was just kind of a secondary interest. I was always mostly a Lego and Bionicle kid first. I had
Which
more or
the
less
2010s are still then a horrible decade for you because Bionicle died.
It died, then came back and died.
Right. Well, yeah, because at that point, the start of 2010s, Bionicle's dead. Hero Factory's in full swing, and everyone's confused.
Yeah. Then 2015 rolls around, Bionicle starts up again, ends the year after because no one bought the sets.
Well, you're skipping over the fact that then Hero Factory dies, and our the light out of all the children's souls just dies with it. Because your hopes that Construction will still continue is gone.
Exactly. And then there's the great news that they're bringing back Bionicle. And for a fleeting moment, you think, ooh, it's going to be a continuation of the old stuff. And then they're like, no, reboot. And then you're like, okay.
But at the very least, they throw us a bone. And they're like, you know what? The golden masks are included with the Toa. And it's like, okay, cool.
Which was nice. Yeah. And then you think, okay, this reboot has some potential. And then you get a kind of mediocre web series and a god-awful Netflix cartoon. And then they cancel the line again.
And they never release
the Mask of Ultimate Power.
The Mask of Ultimate Power. So you can never make Makuta's final form.
Exactly. So yeah, in that respect, the 2010s were not a great
The
decade.
2010s were awful because of Bionicle.
Yes, because of Bionicle. But no, I had my main interest in Transformers had been the animated series. I'd watched the first two seasons on TV as they aired, and then they never promoted the third season at all, so I didn't even know about it until years after.
That was horrible because I was there.
Yes.
I was in the fandom already. I was young, but I was there.
Yeah.
They didn't promote it. You would wake up at the butt crack of dawn to watch the season 3 premiere, which was the movie. So it was cool because it was just like premiering Transwarped movie, and it's like what? Then it had a horrible schedule. I can't remember if it went on hiatus at some point, but it was just they didn't promote it or whatever. And then you're watching it, and then eventually it came out. It's like, oh, season 4 scrapped. And then you watch the end of it in 09, and you're like, I guess that's it. And then you get like the starting rumors of like Transformers Prime, and then eventually it's like it won't come out till November of 2010. So you're like, okay, Dark of the Moon doesn't exist yet. Revenge of the Fallen. Revenge of the Fallen was summer of 09. You then riding on the later waves of Revenge of the Fallen into the next Global Alliance line, which takes you up through the beginning of 2010. So 2010 starting off with the tail end of Revenge of the Fallen. Media-wise, there's no show. The comics still aren't good yet. Last Stand,
I didn't even know about the comics because I was 10.
Right, and so like this is kind of transitioning into where we were. The comics are starting to get good because we get Last Stand of the Wreckers in the beginning of of 2010, or it ends in the beginning of 20. Well, either way, Last Stand happens in 2010. We start getting the rumblings on like the first coverage of the War for Cybertron game that comes out in the summer, spring to summer, along with the Generations line, which at this point, Universe 2.0 ended in the beginning of 09. So we're if you're a fan of the Generation style stuff, you're just kind of like, okay, where's my classics? So at that point, that's what you said, Universe 2.0 or classics. You're like, where's my classic stuff? Because we keep getting this thing of where classic starts and stops. So we're just like, okay. Then Generations hits with Drift, that first wave. Good grief. Drift, Thrust, which was the Henkei Thrust mold, which I was freaking out about because at that point you had to pay $80 for those Henkei Seekers, which was nuts. And then War for Cybertron Deluxe, Optimus, and Bumblebee, which then starts the Generations line, which at that point is just Deluxe only. Like, Generations started, it was only Deluxe figures. It was horrible.
Right.
And then you had the Hunt for the Decepticons line, which was the continuation of the Revenge of the Fallen line, which was where you had your Scouts, your Deluxes, your Voyagers, your 3 leaders that came out on the line. Was it 3? No, it was Battlehooks, Optimus, Starscream. There's only 2, I think. May have been 3. But the 2010s weren't a good start.
Not so much.
Wasn't really a good start. Like, it was weird.
It was, yeah.
Generations definitely, because going back to me. At that point, I had my collecting really started in 07 with the first movie. Although it had been kind of like the spark had been lit by classics and by like the tail end of Cybertron when they came out with Primus. I had given up the movie thing because I was just like, you know what, this is like, not really here for this. I kind of like the universe stuff more, so I had a lot of universe and went back and got Henkei. So when Revenge of the Fallen came out, I was just kind of like, I was kind of just shrugging, being like, okay, I'll pick up a couple of things. So I picked up like Bludgeon and like Lockdown, and then Generations hit, and Hunt for the Decepticons hit, and there were like Sea Spray, which was like this weird, like, it's kind of a Generation Sea Spray, but kind of not.
Yeah, Hunt for the Decepticons was kind of weird.
Hunt for the Decepticons was weird, and then it became Reveal the Shield, which was just kind of like, okay, now we just have 2 Generations lines that are running concurrently. that
But
occasionally
the
have movie
Reveal the
figures.
Shield also sometimes you'll get a movie one.
We both just said the same thing.
Good job.
And then 2010 was also the start of, and unfortunately not the stop of, the revolving door of price increases that we would get up through just this past year with where it kind of stopped. Hopefully will stop for the foreseeable future with Siege. But like just starting off, where as far as pricing, I won't go into full because I'll probably put something up on Twitter with the full breakdown. But just where we were as far as pricing goes, we still had the Legends class in 2010. Those were $4.99. We still had Scouts. Those were $7.99. These are all U.S. MSRP specifically. This may have been different depending on your region. Or what store you were in. Sometimes Walmart would definitely have these at lower prices. Deluxes were $12.99. Interestingly enough, as far as what I was able to search, and this I might have to do some more digging to just confirm some of these numbers, but apparently because in 2010 is when the animated Final Wave figures, some of the deluxes that had been produced ended up at Toys R Us. As far as what I could find, RC and Cybertronian Ratchet, and I think Rodimus Major, Rodimus.
Minor.
No, it was Major.
No, it was minor.
It was minor.
It was Minor?
It was minor.
It was major for Energon.
It was Energon or the... No, Rodimus Major was the reissue.
Oh, right.
Rodimus Minor, yeah. Rodimus Minor was, I think part of that same? Yeah, he was in 2010.
Yeah.
They were all apparently $11.99 for some reason. Which also started the MSRPs for the same size classes across different lines would vary by a couple of bucks in a lot of cases. Voyagers were $22.99, which would then go down to $19.99 at most stores eventually, like for a majority of the 2010s up until 2014 with the later waves of Generations, Thrilling 30, and Combiner Wars. Leaders were $44.99. And that kind of ends the consistent size classes, because then you have a bunch of like nonsense. Like Ultimate Class. Ultimate Class means nothing, because in the span of the 2010s, Ultimate Class, depending on which line you're talking about, ranges anywhere from $30, $29.99, all the way to $89.99, with the Amazon exclusive Year of the Dragon, Dark of the Moon Ultimate Class Optimus Prime. 2010s were wild.
2010s were wild.
Because you have the original Generations line that started in 2010 and ended in 2011, end of 2011. You had Hunt for the Decepticons, which became Reveal the Shield. You had Power Core Combiners.
Yes.
Which I think a lot of people would be like, wait, that did happen. Dark of the Moon, Prime First Edition, Prime Robots in Disguise, Prime Beast Hunters, Generations Fall of Cybertron, Generations Thrilling 30, Generations GDO. Does anyone remember what GDO is?
Yes.
Anyone who's not Michael.
That was the ones that were the Japanese releases that we got later in the US, right?
Hasbro Asia territories, but you're right. So that was the Cliffjumper no one wanted. That was the first edition mold with the G1 head.
The cup that they turned into a
Swerve.
And
Swerve
that
was just a
looks
name.
like Ironhide.
Swerve who was just a name reuse at that point.
Yep.
The
Springer out of Tomahawk.
the Springer that would become obsolete in 6 months at time of release. And the Wheelie that everyone eventually got rid of, but kept the Slingshot to give to the Titans Return one.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And then you also had oh god, who were the Voyagers? You had Hotspot from the Inferno mold. You had,
and then the Brawn never got released.
The Brawn
stateside,
got
right?
released in Cloud years later. It never got released then. And the Bludgeon who was retooled into G2 Megatron.
Oh wait, Power Dive.
And Power Dive, who I have. I don't know why.
Who has recently popped up in a random store for like $6?
Yeah, and somewhere in California.
Yep.
Which I need a new one because mine there's really thin.
Is it like a 99-cent store, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I should check the one by me, probably.
Hit me up if you find one. I need a new one.
Sure. I've already forgotten what figure we're talking about.
It's a Plane Man Power Dive.
Okay, Plane Man.
Age of Extinction and The Last Night. We had 2 movies.
Yep.
We had actually no, we had two movies, and then we had the movie trilogy. The movies.
We had 3 movies.
No, we had a lot of movies. We had 4. We had 4 movies. 4 of the 6 movies came out in the 2010s.
Yes.
The Transformers live action movie series in the 2010s ended twice and got rebooted. Maybe. Because it ended with Dark of the Moon. It started again with The Last Night.
No, it started again with Age of Extinction.
Age of Extinction. I can't keep these things straight.
It's the Star Wars Transformers. I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
Oh, it's
the Star Wars Transformers.
We got the end of the original trilogy, the start and the middle of the sequel trilogy, and the beginning of the prequel trilogy.
All in
the 2010s.
A single decade.
Yeah.
Take that, George Lucas.
And others.
But yeah, the movies, the live action movie series ended with Dark of the Moon in 2011, started again in 2014 with
Age of Extinction,
yes,
and then ended abruptly with The Last Night in 2017,
and then most likely, probably, almost definitely got rebooted with Bumblebee
in 2018.
18.
The end of 2018.
No, wait.
Yeah,
because
the
freaking Bacon talking about how one of his highlights for the 2019 was that Bumblebee flopped.
Nope. We're not about to start weird beef with no one who's going to listen to this episode.
Fair.
We're not?
No. And then we had the start. We had the beginning, middle, and end of one Generations trilogy, and the start of another, with the Prime Wars trilogy, which started with Combiner Wars, continued with Titans Return, and ended with Power of the Primes, and then a trilogy that was probably conceived from the outset as an actual trilogy, the start of the War for Cybertron trilogy with Siege, continuing into Earthrise this coming year. This year, rather, because it's already 2020.
This current year... You might even say.
But and the aligned continuity has been running since 2010.
Yeah, the aligned continuity, which for all intents and purposes is dead, except for Rescue Bots, which is still going.
Yes, as Rescue Bots Academy.
And then the other pieces of the aligned continuity, where you have the War for Cybertron and Follow Cybertron games and ancillary media, the Transformers Prime cartoon, the Transformers Robots in Disguise sequel series, and then the Rescue Bots cartoon and the sequel series Rescue Bots Academy.
Yes.
And then the IDW comics come in full swing with Phase 2, and end in the 2010s, and start
Yes.
their second IDW continuity and the tail end in 2019. A lot of stuff. This podcast happened in the 2010s.
Yeah, it
Yes.
did.
We all met in the 2010s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would not be here were it not the 2010s.
Well, no one. If the 2010s didn't happen, if like all of existence stopped in the 2010s, no one would be here, Zeus.
You know what I mean.
Yeah. But yeah, the if you so before we kind of like maybe get more into like the media and anything personally like what you felt your favorite thing to be as far as I would say if you can narrow the decade down to what was your favorite toy line and then your favorite toy or toys that and I know we didn't even touch third party as a whole we
We can do that at some point.
We
maybe.
can kind of come back to third party because I kind of want to talk a few things, but as far as mainline stuff goes,
All right.
and they don't have to be from your favorite toy doesn't have your favorite toy or toys don't have to come from your favorite toy line.
Right.
They
of course.
can. And Zeus,
It-
you go on since you seem to be ready.
Cool. Yeah, I was thinking about this a lot while we were discussing other stuff. I think my favorite toy line because as a collector in the 2010s was kind of in and out of the fandom because it started when I was a kid and I was only interested in it if there was some kind of supplementary media like a TV show or a movie going on at the same time. So basically, unless there was something else I could watch, I was out of Transformers up until 2016 with Titans Return, which was the line that brought me back into Transformers as a whole pretty much. And it actually, I think, ended up being probably my favorite line of the decade because you got all kinds of, wacky different characters that you normally wouldn't, Whereas anyone expecting that we get like a Top Spin or a Trigger Happy at any point?
No, I think especially by Titan's Return, it's still fresh because the point where like the main line really started to be like I'm saying this a bit tongue in cheek, but like basically G1 with knees. The G1 with knees era, which is basically like we're just gonna do everything like it was in the 80s, starts at the tail end of Thrilling 30 with the final wave of Chromia, Windblade, and RC.
Yeah.
And then goes full swing into Combiner Wars, which there were a lot of kind of growing pains, and then Titans Returns where they really kind of hit their stride.
Yeah.
And then
And Titans Return is where I think they had, or at least I had the most fun with it.
And then
Because I went in basically not knowing any of the characters and having like no attachment to it. So I didn't care if, Topspin or Misfire had a head that detached and that wasn't accurate. It was just a really fun, really well-designed figure that also happened to kind of be a playset at the same time.
Right, because you have the whole thing where the basic, like, especially with certain kids, you basically trick yourself with like, wait, no, the character I'm getting is the head guy, which they kind of led into a little bit because of the fact that on all the Titans Return figures, it displays the Titan Master's name first. So you're getting the Titan Master with the bigger figure.
Yeah, exactly.
The bigger figure is the accessory.
Jared, you're humming again.
I am.
A little bit, yeah.
Jared, you're muted until you can make sure you've cleared up whatever's happening. All right, so I definitely agree with you with like a lot of the highlights of Titans Return. Titans Return is definitely one of my favorite lines of the decade.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, a lot of those molds. Or I think I figured out which line is my favorite, but I'll save that.
Right.
Now, like favorite toy or toys, and we'll keep this to mainline. We can come back around
Right.
specifically you and Jared, since you two are very much into the third party stuff.
Yeah. I'm gonna do just two toys, I think,
Okay.
because I want to do one from like my favorite line, and then probably my actual favorite. So my favorite one from Titan's Return would have to probably be Topspin, because he had like the most unique and interesting transformation of any of the figures. Just the amount of work that went into getting him from like a weird space plane to a big chunky robot was impressive, when really they didn't have to do much since the original figure just kind of folded in half. So the fact that they were willing to kind of go that extra mile for a nobody, not only that, but a nobody with a super simple toy that they could have just kind of thrown out and not really cared about, I think is really amazing. And then going off of that, my favorite figure of the decade, if I had to pick one, would be pretty much any figure that they made out of the Hunt for the Decepticons Terradive mold. But specifically for me, it was the BotCon Starscream, the Machine Wars one. Because it's a great transformation, it's a great looking figure, but that deco is just beautiful. You know, the black with the kind of neon green and red, I think it just looks amazing. And the fact that I'm actually able to own something like that, which is, you know, technically a high end or almost a high end collector's piece because of the exclusive nature of it.
It's hard. It's harder to get. It's not really high end because it's a mainline figure.
No, I don't mean high end, but like you know,
it's harder to get. It's harder to
yeah,
get. Especially,
it is still like a collector's piece.
Especially Starscream, because Starscream was the attendee figure that year.
Yeah.
So that is for a time that was one of the ones that was really hard to find.
Yeah.
It's probably
and I'm
changed a bit
so
more.
happy that I'm so happy that I own it, because he's a fantastic looking figure and he's just a fantastic figure all around. Really, I probably could have given it to any one of them. You know, Terradive on his own looks great. Why can I never remember
Space
his
Case.
name? Not Space Case, but Space Case is good too.
Depth Charge.
Depth Charge, thank you. Depth Charge is just great in like a very 90s way.
Incidentally, I own almost every version of the mold except for Japanese Terradive, who's got the different colored wings, and
yeah, that's where I'm at too, and I'm not paying $80 for a figure that looks basically the same.
And Starscream, I would if I wanted to be like complete, I would need Starscream.
Yeah. Starscream you might actually even have better luck with, because the only one of the Japanese Terradive I've seen was like $100. The last time I looked for Starscream, it was like 80.
It's not something I'd pursue, but it's interesting also because you ended up, because you bought that within the last year, right?
Yeah.
So you bought an early 2010s mold from the middle that was re-released in the middle of the 2010s.
In late 2010s.
At the end of the 2010s.
Yes.
Oh, that's funny. I can't tell if Michael or Jared are actually still here.
No, I'm still here.
Okay.
I'm just thinking.
Still ruminating. All right, Jared, are you ready with your answers, or should I go while both of you need time?
Well,
I think Jared might still be muted from the humming.
well, I can talk about my personal favorite
if you're here,
toy line.
Wait, hold on.
Because
Jared, if you're here, unmute yourself, or at the very least, type in the chat and tell us you're here, and I'll remove you from the call so you can join back.
Yeah, he's muted. I can see the little. Oh.
I'm back.
Oh, all right. Are you
I was
ready with
muted
your?
directly on.
What was that?
I was like muted directly on Skype. Like
Yes, I muted you. I muted you and told you
Oh.
once you get your stuff situated, you can unmute yourself. I should have
Oh,
specified.
I just muted my that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like kind of difficult for me because like I started like really like getting into collecting full time like 2014, but for me figure line wise would probably have to go with probably Power of the Primes, because That's the first time I've gone full completionist, gotten every single figure, and that's whenever I was like at the height of collecting for my experience. And yeah, like end of Titan's Return, and then throughout Power of the Primes, was like my rookie time, my rookie stage for collecting. And as far as figures, the Revenge of the Fallen Starscream that I own, that I got earlier in the year, is a really good figure that came out earlier in the decade, of course. But
Wait, which one is that?
it's the like leader Starscream.
Oh, the Hunt for the
Revenge of the-
Decepticons one. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right. Yeah. No, that's a great figure. That was very highly sought out for when it came out, and
yeah,
afterward when people didn't really buy it, and then it went for stupid amounts of money. I think up until the point where the Studio
yeah, and
Series one came out.
yeah, and, like for me, my personal opinion with that figure, if you want like a placeholder for a MPM Starscream, that's a good placeholder for it because
Well, I mean, he was released as NPM 2.
yeah,
Like
which is
in Japan, NPM 1 is Bumblebee, NPM 2 is him, and then NPM 3 is Bumblebee again.
yeah,
So in Japan, Takara was like, "This is good enough to be a masterpiece." So they released him in movie one colors.
yeah, and goes for extremely insane prices on eBay, which I looked at and instantly accepted my fate in the fact that I will never own that.
Just wait, and then when they release a normal NPM, like an actual like designed from the ground up, then you'll be able to get. Well, assuming that they'd have to make it in movie one colors. It'd be weird if they made it in Revenge of the Fallen colors.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, and obviously this figure didn't come out in the decade, but
No, it did. No, it did.
no,
Or are you talking about another one?
I'm talking about one purchases. Yeah, well, in for 2019, basically, my purchase in 2019 was Red Sunstreaker, the like Diaclone Diacron. I don't remember his name, but that me getting that is definitely a highlight from 2019 for me because
when did you get a Diacron Red Sunstreaker?
A while
This year.
ago.
I don't
Yeah.
remember things.
but yeah, that is definitely a highlight of 2019 for
That's
me.
nuts.
Yeah, I got it for like between like 50 and 80, which was like considering what it is. I
Well,
got it because
it's probably it has to be the U.S. release.
Probably.
Because those tend to be more common. Because it's Diacron with the K. Those were the U.S.
Yeah.
releases. Like with the Sunstreaker was part of like the few figures that came out.
hmm
It'd be nuts if it was an actual like Takara original, because then that would they're pretty much the same thing. But it's like, oh, if it was actually from Japan, it's worth way more.
Yeah.
But no, that's really cool. I've seen a couple of them. They usually tend to be really beat up, but
Yeah, it's not. Mine's not in the best of condition, but it's not in super beaten up condition. Like the chrome headpiece is basically all red. Like there's some chrome left on it, but it's still standing and not gonna fall apart if you look at it funny.
you should take some. If you have any pictures, post them up on your Twitter, and we'll retweet them. Actually, all of you, if you can, get some pics of whatever it is that you picked for your your top figure, and we can share them on the social media. As far as like, our picks from the top either figure of the decade or top purchase of the decade for some of us. Which turning it over to Tom Jack. Unless
Yes.
was someone else going to say
Um,
something?
I was just gonna say we should probably wait until after we're done recording to do that, but
Oh
that's
yeah, no,
not
I
really
didn't
an
mean that
important
now.
thing to say.
I did not mean that
Yeah.
now. Stop what you're
No.
doing. Take some pictures.
Um,
Make idle chit chat. Michael, if you if you're ready.
yeah. Okay. So, toy line wise, I very much agree with Zeus. I started really collecting with Combiner Wars, but Titan's Return is where it really sucked me in. With all the different great characters, great molds, great representations of characters, all that good stuff and also when I really started getting involved with the fandom and getting jokes and following people in the fandom and talking to other fans, really. So
Yeah,
Titan's
Titan's Return is what more or less brought me into the fandom as like a collective. Because before that, I was just a guy who kind of liked Transformers.
It was that Go 90 series that brought you in. I see.
Yeah,
Yep. No, absolutely. But I also
would not
definitely
be
need
here
to-
if it weren't for the Machinima Combiner Wars show.
Uh-huh. But I also definitely have to give a shout out to the bots because just chef's kiss.
Better than Masterpiece.
Yes, and cheaper. Best toy. I don't know if I've got the best
What's
one.
your
I
favorite?
can at least get top three, with those being Times Return, Trigger Happy, the Terra Dive, and BotCon Toxitron.
Animated Toxitron.
BotCon, the BotCon animated one.
Okay. All right.
All
Oh,
good
right,
picks.
because there was the Collectors Club one.
I just wanted to make sure, like, clarify. Okay, so yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah, that's about all I got.
No, it's not. Not bad. Not bad at all. I guess that leaves me, and I wasn't actually prepared entirely for at least favorite toy. I can't. I'm like trying to think of.
There are too many good ones, is the problem.
I'm trying to, because my thing is I'm trying to narrow it down to one mold from the decade that I like. Looking at it, I'm just like, that's a gosh darn Transformer right there.
Yeah, and it's so hard because, like, you know, all of the new stuff is just fresh in your mind, and so you kind of just want to pick something from there. But there's been a lot of really good stuff from like the whole decade. That's kind of where I was at for the longest time. I was like, am I really going to put a Siege figure here? That feels too new to be best of the decade, but also
Actually-
all of Siege is great.
Nah, I think I got it. So for favorite line, so well, and it's interesting. All of you seem to like you started collecting right around the same time,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
I don't know that we've ever actually have we ever talked about that.
I don't think we have.
So that's a weird thing that right now is where we're actually having this. When did everyone start collecting?
Yeah.
So it's
I
all three
kind of
you-
like dipped my toes into Thrilling 30 a little bit, but, you know, really it was
But
Titan's Return.
It's something where you're saying like I like started and I can't stop and it's horrible.
Yeah.
All of you is
that was
2014,
Titan's
so
Return.
all of you mid decade is when all of you pretty much started going like on the deep end.
Yeah.
That happened to me in 07. I've been here for too long.
Yeah.
Too bad. You'll be here for the rest of your life.
Because I started, yeah, definitely. I started in 07, and I did have, like, I never had really stopping points, but I did have a I think a bunch of major resets, because, I started with movie stuff, and then I was like, no, this isn't for me. The very wise, beyond my years, at the age of 13, or 12 to 13, in that range. started with Universe 2.0 because I was like, I can only commit to one line. So Universe 2, I didn't even get everything. I just got I was smart enough. It's like just get the classics molds. Don't get anything that's a Cybertron repaint.
Hmm.
Then I was kind of in between like the kind of restarts of generations and the beginning of the decade. I really went heavy into Prime, and then backed out of it after the show ended. I kind of just sold everything. Generations FOC. I was like, okay, I guess this is what I have to buy. Got rid of all of that at once they announced Dwelling 30. I was like, oh great, they're gonna go back to classics. And then I wasn't really that enamored with it. And then I got MP Prowl in 2012, and that's what kind of set me off a path of that. Or 2013. It was 20. Actually, no, it was 2013. So for the majority of 2013, I was going very hard on Masterpiece, and then Combiner Wars came out, and that's when I was like, oh wait, Generations is going to be good again. So I was doing both, and then eventually stopped with Masterpiece because I got Inferno, and I was like, something's happening here. And then I got Sunstreaker and Megatron. I was like, something's really happening here that I don't like. So Generations, like Generations Classics, whatever you want to call it, that godforsaken acronym. Chugger Sir Pot P nonsense.
Yeah, we both said the exact same thing.
That's really where that's where not only like I think my greatest love for Transformers kind of lies as far as like mainline stuff, like the current what's currently being produced and everything. Like that's really much what I like. It's also the fact that at this point, it's this thing where it's almost like a nostalgia for the beginning of my collecting journey because of the fact that that's what I started with. That's what hooked me when I saw Classics Optimus and Megatron in Kmart. I was like, wait, what? And then I got the 20th anniversary DVD because someone gave me, I think, 2 copies of Spider-Man 2, and I returned one of them and got that instead. And I was in love all over again because I'd already seen that movie tons of times. But part of that is also like as I got older, one of the things I would constantly like kind of fall in on is the fact that at the time you had the Generation stuff, all the stuff that was released in Hasbro, and then you had the Takara stuff, all of the Takara lines, and the line that I kind of completely fell in love with. It was during Titans Return, but it was Legends, the LG series. At this point, despite the fact that I probably shouldn't, I have almost every Legends release that came out. Going back even to the ones that came out of the Thrilling 30 designs. Legends by far is my favorite line. Like, just the... And a lot of times, it was the build quality was better than the Titans Return ones, because I also got most of the Titans Return ones, because I was dumb. Build quality was better. Paint schemes were better. And it was just such a fun line to get. Because everything just looked so vibrant and colorful. And it was so... I had so much fun during that time. Getting the figures and everything. And seeing what retools or what little differences Takara would do. Because I had spectated all of that during Henkei and didn't get all the Henkei figures. By the time Generations Thrilling 30 was coming around, that first kind of crop of it, Takara was doing weird stuff where everything was metallic and it looked bad, and the yen to dollar ratio was really bad, and then the exchange rate got really good when Legends came out, and I was hooked. And I think that also ties into like my... I think I figured it out. My top 3 releases of the decade. I think.
Do you need a second to think? Because I thought about something else that I maybe wanted to bring up real quick.
All right, go ahead, and then I'll.
Okay, so I'd mentioned before that when I was a kid, the reason that I would stay interested in Transformers would be because of supplementary media,
Right.
and that I'd kind of lose interest at some point if there wasn't something to kind of keep me tethered and attached to the franchise.
Right.
I think like around 2016, 2017, the online community kind of for me became the supplementary media. We're just being able to like interact with other fans and talk about all the cool new stuff that was coming out with people who enjoyed the same things that I did. Really, that for me strengthened my connection to Transformers as a whole more than any other piece of media or any other toy line from the series at all.
That makes sense. Yeah, the fandom definitely reinforces stuff, and having that community keeps that interest. Because if you lose interest in the toys or the whatever like media is happening, you have that social aspect to fall back on. The fact that you still enjoy it, but you might not be as engaged with what's currently available. You can still then find those other things to be engaged with, whether it's fan artists or cosplay or just talking about the series that you love with other people who love them. I mean, that was definitely a thing when
Just having friends that are interested in the same stuff
or
really
even
has helped
definitely
me kind of
seeing
stay around.
that stuff being perpetuated like that, like during the early 2010s. That was something I had a lot of friends who were very much in animated, and when animated ended, they were still keeping that momentum of talking about it and everything. And then you saw the same thing when Prime ended. You still have that Prime fan base going around. You still see it today, or even like the resurgence of like people who love Beast Wars or people who love the Unicron trilogy, stuff like that. Going back to my top figures of the decade, I think I've narrowed it down to a couple. One would have to be, and this is just a good mold, the Prime RAD Viacon mold is such a good mold, especially given the fact that Prime RAD at the time had a stigma for being inferior to the Prime First Edition, and that Viacon mold kind of blows anything that First Edition did as far as deluxe is out of the water. Because it's such a simple but elegant toy.
I remember I got that figure off eBay a few years ago, and I remember watching MGO reviewing it. And that was like one of the first videos I remember watching of his stuff, and that's probably number two for me for figures of the decade, to be honest. Because
the thing that's magical about it is that it's his vehicle. Its vehicle mode just kind of gets absorbed into the legs.
Yeah, and a clean and organized, elegant fashion.
Right, and then it has a beautiful, like, very clean silhouette for the robot mode, which the first edition one really couldn't achieve.
No.
The other one I would say is BotCon 2016 Transmetal 3 Megatron. Only because
That's
of the
a
fact,
nice one.
Only because of the fact that one, that's a mold that I had as a kid that I horribly destroyed, and it's a separate character that I loved as a kid who I didn't have any surviving toys of except for his Beast Machines toy, and then it's a concept that I discovered early on in my like learning of like the fandom and whatnot, and being on the wiki, learning that they wanted to do like they wanted to do that exclusive. Then the company who owned BotCon at the time folded, and then they kept going, and then at the end FubPub finally was like, okay, you know what we're gonna do, go out with a bang and do that. So that's definitely another one. I can't decide which one's my favorite of these two, so they kind of are tied for first. Unite Warriors Baldigus and Legends Fortress Maximus.
Ooh.
Both because of the fact that, like, Baldigus, I had Ruination as a kid, loved it. The fact that they were like, oh, here's a modern generations update, all, like, spring baking new with paint and whatnot. It's amazing. And then Fortress Maximus, I've coveted Fortress Maximus since I was 8 when I had the Rebirth on VHS, and them releasing it and it being so amazing, and then having it's the Japanese version, so it's got like the Headmaster's theme song when you push down the head, but that's amazing too. And then just like I know it's a retool of Metroplex, and it's not that amazing, but just it was such an event piece as far, especially when it came out, because I that summer before it came out, I was making sure it's like I need to have the money saved. I need to have the money saved, so when this comes, the pre-order drops, I can just pick it up and get it, and it won't be anything. And I remember I wasn't home when the box showed up, so I showed up at my house. My parents were just like, "What the hell did you do? Why? Like, you spent how much money on this thing?" And it's like, "Let me see," and it's just gigantic, and I'm just like, "This is amazing." But yeah, I think Fortress Maximus does beat out Baldius by a slight margin, but just so good. Love that toy. Love its death. Lightning round of just personal, like a favorite moment, as far as like in collecting fandom whatnot in the past 10 years. And then I think we can then wrap things up.
Going to TFCon.
Yeah, TFCon this last year.
I'll echo those sentiments. I think for me it's more just this past year specifically. As a whole was pretty amazing as far as like meeting people and getting out, going out to conventions and stuff was a big highlight.
No. Last year, DC was the highlight of my year. Just getting out there and finally meeting up with a bunch of you guys.
I mean, DC, Toronto, and NYCC are pretty much tied for me for different reasons. Both like the like meeting people, getting to see you guys. NYCC was incredible. Being able to like be at the Hasbro event for me personally was really cool. Jared, you unfortunately were not able to make it out to any of the cons that the rest of us did due to illness.
Yeah. Yeah, but I was able to go to the some cons in my area, Steel City Con, which were those being my first convention experience. One of the highlights for me was getting a complete G1 Metroplex with 6-gun, all the accessories, everything. And the very first time I went, I got the complete Transmetal Megatron, the Dragon Megatron, I should say.
Cool.
Yeah,
so going out to conventions and spending tons of money, pretty
yes.
much. All of us.
Yes.
All right. Our mascot for this week is New Year's Bisque. I didn't get confirmation from Eric, but he's lost in the wilderness at the moment, so tough. Otherwise, that pretty much wraps up this. We'll be back. We'll definitely have to do at least a lightning round of this with the rest of the guys who couldn't be here tonight. As always, again, follow at Nerdy Geek Talk or at Steel City Bots on Twitter and Instagram for the Steel City Bots account for updates and then any other posts and anything that go up for the show. Personally, you can find me at Logos Minor on Twitter. Jared is at DreadPrime _ on Twitter. Zeus is at _ Zeus. That's the word _ spelled out. You can find Soundjack Michael at @Soundjack426 on Twitter and YouTube and Instagram.
And he's also RDSJ Gaming.
Yep, on YouTube.
Yeah, RDSJ. I got that right.
Yes, you did.
Yes.
We will hopefully be back sooner rather than later. I don't think I have the recording of our Secret Santa podcast, so I'm gonna have to get that from Eric. So you may hear
when he gets back from the woods.
Yeah, when he's back from the woods, you might hear this before you hear the Secret Santa. We have a few things that, at the very least, we sought out to cook up for 2020. I don't know how some of those are on my plate. I don't know how much is actually gonna happen, but we'll definitely try to come off of the momentum of this episode and step the right foot forward this decade. So yeah, until next time, thanks for listening, and bye-bye.